guys. Nope.
Hi guys.
Obviously, this being the first video, I should probably state some facts. I have another channel, and that's a Disney channel. And obviously, as you can see, I love Disney merch right here. Always wearing it. No, I'm not. I have other clothes. And I took a step. Nope. Calm down. I took a step back from it for like a couple months because I didn't know if I wanted to continue doing it. And I was like,
really enjoy making videos, but I don't really want to talk about the thing that I love the most because that makes me not love that thing.
The most.
But I also like history, knowledge. I wasn't a very good student. I decided to spend my time wisely, looking up bacteria, pandemics, epidemics, I couldn't remember the words, and viruses all throughout the history of mankind. And what I found was quite terrifying. Continue. We're just going to continue. You know, let's do an intro. I don't have one yet
Because there wasn't one, so we're going to get into it after.
So let's just get this intro in. It's TB. I promise, I mean no ill will, I'm not making jokes about it.
Tuberculosis.
A devastating and terrifying bacterium. Bacterium will be the word of the hour, day, however long this takes, maybe 10 minutes. The tuberculosis is a Mycobacterium tuberculosis. That is like the whole scientific name. It is a rod-shaped bacteria that goes in through the
Inhalation vents of your face.
and down into the lungs, where it nestles down and hunkers in for a good all day, all night snack. Then it can, and most likely will, go to your abdomen, causing extreme pain and discomfort. Then it'll go to your bones and make those all brittle. And then it'll probably most likely, go to your brain. But I am going to take you on a long journey, long time ago. Let me stop saying long. We're just gonna go to ancient Egypt. And we now have tuberculosis. Their hygiene probably wasn't the greatest. And this is transferred by cough, smit, and sneeze. Something that I now have botched. I've botched it. Now let's go back to the present. Or at least, I don't know, early 2000s, when we dig those mummies up and find out that they had tuberculosis. This is terrible. It was horrible. They had no cakes to bake and they had no modern medicine to understand what was going on. Or wait, what? They had no modern doctors? Nothing. They were praying to the gods, the Ra and Ka. Okay, stupid. That's what they were doing. So obviously it didn't make anything better. We now know that they had it in their bones. We also read in an Ebers papyrus. If you don't know what a papyrus is, look it up. Because of those that we found, the papyrus,
We found out that they had lung ailments.
and that's pretty much it. Guess what? We're now at the ancient Greeks. The ancient Greeks had a little bit more knowledge, and that's attributed to my main man, Hippocrates. Nope, that's not his name. Hippocrates. Hippocrates. And it was called the physicist.
Physicist.
Nope. That's They decided, this obviously has to be because we've angered the gods.
Because again, that's the only kind of explanation that could come.
Hippocrates said, no, I am going to dismember. Nope, not that. Disconnect this disease from the gods. It's hereditary. So if you have it in your family, you're screwed. Aristotle, he decided, no, it's a contagion. And it means it's contagious. And we're all gonna get it. And everybody was like, we don't like that answer because it's scary. We like hereditary. And everybody was like, well, and now we are in the Middle Ages. The Renaissance. Back in the Middle Ages, they did believe that because of the Christian movement, that monarchs were from the divine. They came directly from the hand of God, just bloop, divine. Because of that, you got the royal touch. And that's really what they named it. It's called the royal touch. And you just wanted to be touched by it. I'm not gonna finish that sentence. But back then, they believed that if a royal touched you, you would be healed and cleansed because the divine was touching you. And for some reason...
I'm sorry guys, I realized that what I was saying was not cohesive sentences and I jumped from one to the next at this point because I just kept rambling and I felt like nothing was kind of like flowing at that point. So what I'm trying to say is that there wasn't any modern medicine or advancement in medicine at this time, and they had no idea what was causing it, to be exact. So they believed that if a king touched you, you were most likely to be healed. Obviously, that wasn't the case, and people still died from tuberculosis, even though they were touched and finagled by the church, because eventually you had to pay to be touched by the king. Anyway, so at that point, they decided, okay, well, this is probably vampires. Vampires are doing this. TB is caused by vampires, or it is vampires. Vampires. The explanation was vampires. Back to the video.
That this is probably vampires. You heard me right. Vampirism was all the rage. Because now we're gonna call it the White Death or the White Plague. But they also like to call it
consumption.
because of what it did to the body. It looked as if somebody who was beautiful, round, thick, all of a sudden came down with the White Plague. They looked like they had been consumed. Their skin ashen, white. Their eye sockets and their cheeks sunken in, and their lips stained with the sanguine life force juices. All right, well, that took a turn. Unlike here,
A brooding 100-year-old teenager.
you actually just were slowly dying from a bacteria eating your lung tissue. We're talking now about Victorian era, and oh my gosh, was TB all the rage. No, they weren't doing that. They did try and make themselves look like they had consumption because it was cool and hip. But also the vast majority believed that it was still hereditary. So yes, a lot of people were dying in that time. Massive amount, like a quarter of England's population, of Europe's population just died because of tuberculosis. And hey, it's 1819 and French physicist Théophile Lenach. He's a physician and he's French, and he figured out how to figure out what the characteristics and identify the virus. So what they did were they were like, hey, rest and relaxation. Do that and you'll be good. And surprisingly, people did. There were centers popping up in mountain ranges and these fun little spa places. Nope, just kidding. Not fun. They were dying. But they went there and they got better. Fresh air, mountains, diet, but not so fast. Let's pump our brakes. I was gonna say, let's not keep going further because it is now 1869. And Jean Antoine Villem,
I don't know how to pronounce these names, but I have them on the screen.
he has now officially confirmed that is a contagion. It is contagious. And this shocked and scared everybody. They were like, oh, you gross. Get out of here. People were fined for spitting because spitting was a normal thing. But once they found out it was a contagion, strict laws were in place to quarantine people and keep them away from the healthy people, and fines were on spitting, and distinctions were made. How did Jean Antoine Villem figure this out? Well, he took the bacteria and he injected it in little baby Thumper and figured out that it could go to other baby Thumpers that were not related. But we can't talk about TB without talking about Robert Nock, a German physicist, scientist, doctor. He decided he alone was going to fight and find the cause for the TB, for those of us who are consumed. And the year is now 1882, and Robert Nock has just superheroed his way into figuring out the germ theory. And he did. He came up with a not so helpful vaccine. He injected it on not just Thumper, but on Bambi, Wilbur, Chicken Little. But we'll get into Robert Nock on a different video because that man is fascinating and his life is
Tragic.
I mean, even though it was running rampant in Europe and the Americas, eventually by the 19th century it started to die down. Mainly because we had an idea of what actual hygiene is and proper hand washing, and maybe not to sneeze and spit just out in the open on anybody. But in good standing. It did die off. People did learn how and what and why and when, and that's all we really need to do. That's why the power of knowledge and the power of history always win Now I'm just rambling. So I hope you guys liked today's video and the knowledge that you got from it, and I hope it makes your quarantine a little less scary. They fizzled out. That was one of the words that one of the people used on one of the documentaries. It fizzled out. It started to take a decline in how many people it affected. I am quite nervous about what's going on in the world right now, but I think that is also why I decided to look at other problems that we've had in the past just to see where they have gone and how they have gone. And with our knowledge of science and modern medicine, I'm sure will be able to fight this way better than we fought the other ones. And with that, please put a comment down
And like and subscribe.